The first question has to deal with how we can secure the isolation centers. Whether we should consider the issue of perimeter fencing of the facilities. I think invariably most of the facilities have perimeter fence. Most of them. I'm not saying all. And we have been in discussions with the security and armed forces about the need to provide surveillance and control over the isolation centers. I hope we'll be able to perfect that in the days and weeks ahead. But let me say this. Perimeter fence will not deter people from wanting to escape, because I saw a video clip of the Kenyan experience. A very high perimeter fence, but they were throwing their luggages across the fences and they were jumping and escaping. And I understood from the news that same evening they were apprehended in a clubhouse where they had gone to just socialize. I've not verified the story, but I saw the clips, and I think most of you saw the clips of how they were jumping out of the perimeter fenced isolation center. If that is true, that is what is informing my position that perimeter fence will not stop anybody from wanting to escape. It's just for our people to develop the culture of and the sensitivity of the fact that they are not only a risk to themselves, but they are a risk to the larger community. If they escape into the community and they avoid care management and they go around, the dangers are that they will keep infecting people, and that would widen the scope. And for those kind of persons, it becomes extremely difficult for you to know who are their contacts, how to trace their contacts, because they have just disappeared into the thin air. So I think this is a passionate appeal. Now, once you exhibit the symptoms, and you go for a test, and your status is confirmed, and you are required to go into isolation, it is not, I wouldn't say, it is of your own self-interest and those of your loved ones to subject yourself to that isolation. The issue of refugees, I know that the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development have got a policy for the evacuation of refugees and Nigerians all over the world. And I think they had the plan even before COVID-19. They had evacuated refugees from Cameroon into Yola. And from there, they were kept in a center where their locations and their states of origin were determined before they were now relocated back to their communities. Most of the refugees we have in Cameroon are refugees that arose as a result of the insurgency in the northeast. Most people, because we share borders with the Cameroon, I happen to come from one of those states, Adamawa. People can just cross over easily across hills, mountains, or rivers quite easily. So I believe that they will continue to pursue that policy of evacuating refugees. But you know, COVID-19 has kind of interrupted everything. Everything in the normal has been interrupted. So the priority now is how do we deal and contend with COVID-19 internally. But I believe that policy is still on, and I would find out from the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs how they are going about it and what are the steps that are being put in place. Somebody asked whether, now that we are opening up, what happens to civil servants who had gone to states of their origins during the lockdown. The truth about it is that they were not supposed to travel, but so they must find a way. They must find a way of coming back. The lockdown was supposed to keep everybody down. Yes. Well, there's always a way around that. Once those kind of claims are authenticated, there are passes that the states even give. We had to evacuate some of the staff of the Center for Disease Control all the way from the Democratic Republic of Congo. They went for a training and the lockdown caught them there. But they are essential staff of the center. So we had to get all sorts of exemptions to fly into Congo to lift them out because their services is much needed. They went for the same training that was being provided by the WHO, but it was in the Democratic Republic of Congo. So those kind of exemptions can be made for people who had gone for a training, and now that the system is opening up gradually, they intend to return. Every effort will be made to ensure that they come back. But for those that left because of the lockdown, well, I think they are on their own. They will find their way. The question for whether we are ready for easing up of the lockdown. No country is ready. That's the truth about it. No country is ready. Look at all the countries. It's a balance. It's a very, very delicate balance that leaders in different countries take. It's really a difficult terrain. And I just don't envy the leaders when they receive reports and recommendations. I don't want to imagine what is going on in their heads, because this is a choice of life and death. And a balance of that deserves a lot of, how do I put it? A lot of resolve by the leader to do good for his people. So the choice that we have taken is to balance the health and also the wealth of the people in such a way that we do not further compromise the health of the people. The truth about it is that most countries take one step at a time. And that is what we are doing. We cannot tell you what would happen in the next couple of weeks, because that is the nature of the novel virus. It's unpredictable. You don't know how. You might be learning about it now in a different context and a different way, and the dynamics will change. And if you are not prepared to adjust quickly, you might be confronted with a very catastrophic situation. So for now, this is the choice that we have made. And that is why I always end up with a serious appeal to our people that it's a collective choice. And this responsibility is collective. We must resolve to do what is needful to ensure that we do not escalate the spread of the virus. And the only way we can do that is, as much as government is easing up the lockdown to provide for succor for our people and the opportunities for them to make a living, they must also balance that with their commitment as citizens that they would do and adhere to the health advisories that have been issued out. Maintain social distancing, personal hygiene, stay at home unless it is necessary to go out, and all the other advisories that have been put in place. The other question has to do with life has returned to normal in Senegal and Madagascar. Are we going to look inward? Obviously, That was the crux of what I said yesterday, that we are open. The Ministry of Health, in conjunction with the Institute of Medical Research and the Pharmaceutical Institute too, are all collaborating to see how best we can develop our own indigenous, home-bred treatment or things that we can use for the management of cases that have arisen and that are going to arise. The only caveat there is that due process must be followed. If you have an invention or you have produced some form of solution for COVID-19, allow it to run the process. And the process will determine its efficacy. It will determine whether it is consumable by the humans or it has to go through some experimentation stage before it is applied on people. There are processes and there are protocols before a drug or a cure portion can be determined serviceable and also consumable before it is released to the public. I believe we would urge our homegrown systems and productions to go through that. I'm happy for Senegal and Madagascar. It's working in their country. We must also get something to work in our country. But that is also a throwback to our scientists, our experts. This is the time for call to duty, that they need to do what they need to do. The last question I have here is, what are the other two phases? This is very deliberate. We intend to take one step at a time. One of the reasons so that we do not create a bundle of confusion. If we say these are the businesses that would open, these are the timings for the businesses in phase one, which will take a period of 2 weeks. We want to remain with that. Let's try this and see how it plays out. Let's understand the regime and the protocol that goes with it. Throwing out so many stages out there will just create confusion and pandemonium. Most countries that have opened up have found spikes in their figures, and no sooner have they opened up, certain things are being put in place, not to entirely reverse the opening up, but to also try to ameliorate the spikes that they are seeing. So we will continue to do that. It's a very difficult process because on a daily basis you are looking at the map of the world, what is happening in other places, and you are trying to balance to see the best that will suit our people. We've never gone this way before. No country has ever gone this way before. Every country is at a standstill. Things that were normal in the past have totally been disrupted. Our cultural and social life is at a standstill. How can you imagine Nigerians not having a party on a weekend? I mean, it's a very serious issue. It's a very serious issue. Life will not be the same again after COVID-19 because we can see the interruptions that are taking place with our lives. You can see, I mean, totally. And I believe that if we cooperate together, that is my last word, if we work together, we will navigate this process. And at the end of it, we will build a very strong nation. Our resilience has shown it, that in spite of the system, the failures of the system, in spite of the difficulties, in spite of the inadequate infrastructure, we are still holding on. I cannot but thank Nigerians more and more, and all of you that are out there working to ensure that we have a strong nation that can fight this COVID, and at the end of the day, we remain strong as a people and as a country. Akwai tambayar da aka yi a Hausa na cewa akwai wani abin da gwamnati take yi don tallafa kasa a wannan lokacin covid-19 din nan? Akwai. Jiya na yi magana, na yi jawabi sosai akan kudaden da Central Bank ta kimanta biliyan 100 na manyan masana'anta, irin kamfanoni na pharmaceutical da asibitoci wanda ake so su samu wannan kudin ta hanyar account nasu da bankunansu. Akwai kuma biliyan 50 na kananan masana'anta, irin kananan masu jari, masu sayar da sayarwa, masu kananan hotel, masu gidajen abinci irin restaurant da su sauransu. Duk akwai shirin da aka yi domin su. Na tabbatar a cikin wannan tafiyar nan da ake, daga bankoki suka buɗe kofofinsu daga 4 ga Mayu, duk wanda yake kokari don ya sake bunkasa kasuwancinsa da ayyukan kasuwancinsa zai fuskanci waɗannan bankuna. Ba Central Bank za ka je direct ba, za ka je bankinka ka yi tambaya, ko kuma ka dubi website na Central Bank, za ka ga abin da ake ce guidelines wanda aka shimfiɗa, wanda in ka bi waɗannan guidelines ɗin nan, inda rabo za ka samu taimako daga wannan banki wanda zai taimaka maka duk asarar da aka yi na kwanaki kusan 30 ɗin nan. Allah zai taimaka mana don mu samu mu mai da gurbi na kasuwancinmu kuma mu bunkasa arzikin ƙasa. Na gode. Yes? Well, the question of Almajiris, I had spoken about it. And I said it is the responsibility of government to provide for the welfare and the security of these minors. And it is very, very important that we take it seriously. I still repeat my words. I remember vividly. I said, if we don't deal with the Almajiri issue, we are building an army that would overwhelm us in the future. Even at this time, it is better for us to have them in one place. If they are moved to a particular location like I see the governors do, they quarantine them. They put them through the processes of the test, which is the most important thing to establish their status. Those that are positive, isolate them, manage their cases, and eventually, when they are negative, you now move them into the community back to their homes. The reason why they move them back to their states is so that they can take them back to their homes. The essence is not to just go and keep them in the camp. The camp now where they are is a holding center for their status to be determined. Might not be the best, but I think in the circumstances, the governors are trying to ensure that they don't just release them back to their communities once their status have not been confirmed. I believe that's the best that they can do at this stage. And I believe that that will help tremendously to track infected people getting back into those communities. Thank you.